Welcome to my bread bag sew along. This is a really lovely, super beginner friendly sewing project that you can make for yourself, or if you're going to a friend's for dinner, you can take one with a nice freshly made loaf inside it. So follow along and I hope you enjoy it. When you're choosing your fabric, you want to get linen or 100% cotton, preferably something that's natural fibres and hasn't been really dyed heavily. This is a table runner that I got from IKEA, so it's absolutely perfect. And the Brucey bonus is part of it's already hemmed, so that does half the job for me. Cut your fabric to 48 inches wide by 16 inches. Basically, you can make it any size you like as long as the width is 3 times the height. First thing we need to do is hem all of the edges. So if you're like me and some of them already hemmed, that's great. But if not, you want to fold over half an inch, fold over half an inch again, head to the ironing board and then just press those. I use this handy ruler, which is you can measure the half inches so that you're being pretty consistent. But to be honest, for this project, as long as you kind of eyeball it and it's roughly the same, it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be an exact science. Now you want to do this on all 4 edges. It's not obvious actually on the fabric I'm using, but I'm turning the seam over onto the wrong side of the fabric. Now we're going to head to the sewing machine and we start with a little back tack at the beginning to secure the stitches, and we're sewing just on that edge of that folded hem. So you can see what I'm doing here, and you literally just want to go all the way along. When you get to the end of that side, you just keep your needle in, pivot, and then carry on down until you've finished on all 4 sides. Now, I haven't pinned this down or clipped it because I'm just kind of folding it as I go along and like tucking any stray bits in. But if you are really new and you'd feel more confident, then there's no problem just pinning this and then just remove the pins as you sew along. When you get to the last corner, to back where you started, you just want to sew off to the edge and then again do a little back tack to secure the stitches, and then you're done. And it should look something like this. And back at your cutting mat, you want to turn the whole thing so that the wrong side is down, so you've got the right side facing you. Now take the bottom left corner and you want to fold it up so that you can see what I'm doing here. And once that's done, you want to just pin along that edge that you have just folded up. Move the whole thing along, and we're going to do the same thing but in the opposite direction with the top right corner. So get the top right corner and fold that down, and then once that's in place you want to pin along that edge as well. Then take the bottom right corner and fold that up so that it's easier if you just follow what I'm doing on the screen here, and you can see it's created that kind of bag shape. And then you want to line up those kind of seam edges that have just met, and you clip along where you pinned before. So again, if you just follow what I'm doing on the screen, it should make sense. So remove the pins. You can either pin or clip this. It doesn't really matter as long as they're connecting those 2 seams. Then you want to flip over the whole piece and you're going to do exactly the same again. So where those 2 seam edges are meeting, you just want to line everything up and remove the pins and clip those 2 seam edges together. And it should look like this. So you've got the wrong side of the fabric facing you, and you've got 2 edges of clipped lines that we're now going to go to the machine and sew along. So you want to again go to the machine and starting at the one end of the clips, we're back tacking at the beginning and back tacking at the end to secure the stitches, and we're following the stitch line that we did before on the hem. I mean, again, because this is a bread bag, it doesn't need to be absolute exact science as long as those 2 edges are sewn nice and firmly together. When you've done one of the edges, you want to flip it round and do the second edge, and again back tacking at the beginning and the end to secure the stitches. Now we're just going to turn the whole thing the right side out so we can check that everything has sewn up correctly, and then you want to push out those corners and flatten it all out, and it should look something like this. Now you can stop there, but I do like to box the corners just because it gives it a little bit more depth to hold the bread in. So to do that, you want to turn it back the wrong side out. And then on each of the corners, you want to get your ruler and mark 1.5 inches up on each side. When you've got those marks, you then draw a diagonal line across that corner. And then once you've done that on both corners, we'll then stitch across that at the sewing machine. Once you've sewn across those 2 lines, you can either cut off that end, or I just keep it like that, to be honest, because it doesn't really get in the way. So you want to turn it back the right side out and you have finished your bread bag. It's so easy and I love this. I'm going to make them in all different sizes now to take smaller round cobs and maybe even a big long French breadstick. But I hope you enjoyed my sew along. If you did, please do like, share, follow along for more. And so I can keep these free. If you want to buy me a coffee, feel free, and the link is in my bio. Thanks.